And we're live. Joe Knows Cryptos coming at you live here. It's March 9th, 2020. All right. So last week I was talking about the coronavirus, right? And people were telling me it was a hoax, it was fake, it was only in China. And I said, let's give it a week and see what happens. And a week later, we know that this thing is for real. But people are still saying it's not that bad. It's not as bad as it appears to be. Well, here's the deal. Whether or not it turns out to be worse than it is, it's going to affect people, and people are going to panic. When people panic, everyone panics. Everyone else starts to panic, right? So when that happens, things get bought off store shelves, things get hoarded, people get very tight with their money. People start to take their money out of the stock market, as you see today, down over 2,000 points at one point. People just sell everything because they don't know what to do, and they feel safe when they're not in anything and not committed to anything. So I told you this is going to happen in the last video. Crypto's taking a beating, oil taking a beating, gold and silver not doing anything much. Now gold and silver are supposed to be your safe havens in these market crashes, and they're not really doing anything. Fed dropped a half a point. They're going to print money. Now you see, this system does not work unless there is debt, unless we are in debt. That's one of the reasons why they're not giving us the money that they're printing out. They're giving it to the businesses and people on top to reinvest into the money, into their companies, right? Because every dollar that we borrow, they get to use. For every single dollar, they can lend out $8 more. So if there's not debt, they can't lend, and if they can't lend, then they can't charge interest, and they can't make money. The banks, the whole system, the Fed, everything it's awful. It's terrible. I hope when while the dust settles, that people wake up and realize that dollar, Fed, and banks are evil. They're the ruin of society. It's kind of like a bad parent would give a child a cigarette to smoke, right? So I'll give you that cigarette and equate cigarettes to money. Here, I'll give you this money. I'll give you this cigarette, and kids start smoking it, and before you know it, kid is hooked. It's like people are hooked on money. They gotta have it. They gotta have it. Now the parent gives them 2 cigarettes a day. It's a bad parent, just like a bank is bad. Now people are getting more and more addicted to money, and they can't live without it. There's going to be a point when they're printing so much money and they're given so much money and it loses its value. It's going to be like, you ever hear those stories where the parent locks their kid in the closet and gives them a carton of cigarettes and says, you can't leave until you smoke that entire carton of cigarettes, and the kid doesn't want the cigarettes anymore. Well, people aren't going to want money anymore. They're going to want real things that have value, things that are appreciated, not all this propped up pop stars and sports stars that are getting paid tens and hundreds of millions of dollars to do something that they would do for free anyway. And I have no problem with sports or entertainment, but when they're getting paid like they get paid nowadays, really, it's not right. There's people out there working so hard, firemen, teachers, police, that are underappreciated and undervalued. And it's going to be people like that that are appreciated again, I predict. Um, so anyway, guys, right now, the cryptocurrency market does not have a plunge protection team, right? It's basically like the Wild West still. The stock market has a plunge protection team. So the stock market was down, like I said, over 2,000 points today. Guaranteed, the plunge protection team came in and is pushing it up the best that it can. But people are selling. They can only push it up so much. They may even have to shut down the market altogether if it keeps dropping and they keep shoving money into it and shoving money into it and it keeps going down. They may even have to, We're almost at 3 o'clock, so they'll probably make it through today. But if this goes on much longer, there may be days when they shut down the market altogether. All right. The cryptocurrency market doesn't have a plunge protection team, but what it has that's similar is a group of hodlers that are never going to sell their cryptocurrencies until cryptocurrencies die, which you and I know is not going to happen, or they become wealthy off of it, right? Now, where that floor is, I'm not quite sure. I know for sure, and it's still a long ways down, is at about 130 billion. And right now we're at where's the cryptocurrency market? It's at 222 billion. All right. So I mean, it can still drop another 90 billion. I don't think it was because that level was back in the beginning of 2018 when we kind of hit the bottom there. I think hodlers have added to their positions since then. I think it could be closer to 150, 160, 170 billion. So there still is some downward movement that could happen in cryptocurrencies. However, the stock market can go down to, well, stock market is currently at, the Dow is at 24,000. That could easily go down to 8,000. I'm not saying it's going to, but it could, without plunge protection and without safety nets and closing down the market for days and things like that. So, what's also going to happen is people are going to get fed up with the market, with the Fed, with cash. When cash starts losing its money, when the Fed starts, you think they're printing a lot now? Give it another week or two of this, they're going to be, they're already bringing truckloads of money to put in the stock market. I mean, they're just going to double it up, triple it up. They're going to try to do whatever it takes. Now, the panic is set in from this virus that people are now realizing that, hey, so a few people get sick, right? Some people are going to die. Well, you can pretty much guarantee your chances of getting this virus right now in America are greater, I would say, than 60 to 70%. Um, that is, if people don't start taking some precautions, which they're really not recommending anywhere. I guess I've heard a few in Washington, maybe in San Francisco. But what people are failing to understand is people can walk around without showing any symptoms for up to 27 days. I know the news said a week, 14 days. It's 27 days. People can walk around spreading this disease for 27 days. So at this point, it's impossible to contain. It's been spread all over. All right. People just aren't showing the symptoms. The other thing that people don't understand are the exponential growth factor. It's that old adage, if I gave you, would you rather have $1 million today or a penny doubled every day for a month? And everyone's like, I'll take the $1 million. $1 million is a lot because they don't realize that in the beginning, the penny, so it doubles. You have 2 pennies, you have 4 pennies, you have 8 pennies. That's nothing. It's pennies, right? But by the time you get to the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th day, um, that penny would be worth, I don't know, something like 4 million or 10 million. It's a lot more than if you had just taken a million. And that's what exponential growth is. So it starts out real slow. It doesn't seem like anything much in the beginning. And that's the same thing with this virus. It doesn't seem like anything much yet until it starts to jump. And when it jumps, it's going to jump in big numbers. All right. The other thing is people are not really realizing, people that are just out there in the everyday world are not realizing the effect that it's already had in China. That, on top of the trade war that we're having with China, they say that's over. I think this is maybe part of the trade war. Um, Products are not being produced in China, and the ones that are being produced, they're keeping for themselves. In other countries, the same thing. They're keeping these products for themselves. We're going to see empty store shelves here. Um, People are panicking, might start panicking about food too much. I do believe we have the production of food in America. We do produce a lot of food. We do have a lot of cattle. We have a lot of chicken farms. We grow a lot of wheat, a lot of corn. Um, Even if people get sick with the virus, I think that there will be ways to keep food production up. It's going to be more things like computers, sneakers, clothing, medicine. If you are on prescription drugs, 95% of prescription drugs are made in China. You may want to go to your doctor and see if you can get a couple extra uh, prescriptions filled if it's something that you really rely on. Um, Food might be an issue in the beginning just because people might panic and go out and hoard food and clean everything off the shelves. So you're probably going to want at least maybe a couple weeks worth of food, in my opinion. I know I had people on there saying I'm panicking and all that, but trust me, this is just a forewarning. It hasn't really hit most of America yet. All right. This is your chance now to at least get some extra supplies, some extra food. If you need a computer, you need a cell phone. I just got a new cell phone yesterday. Mine was on its last legs. Um, these are things that might be hard to get, might be difficult to get. This is going to prove to America, and I've said this for decades, that how does America even make money anymore? We don't produce anything here. We don't make anything. Where does our wealth come from? Why do we have money? The only reason we had money is because our dollar was strong. And it's still strong compared to other countries, but it's going to start losing value rapidly as we start banks keep printing and printing and printing and printing. I mean, things that are going to have value are going to be things that are useful. Things now. I made a video. My last video I made about silver, right? About how here's the deal with silver and gold. Right now, they're not moving. I don't think long term silver and gold are the answer by any means. But what's going to happen is hedge funds, investment funds, individuals in crisis will progress into these hard commodities, right? They're going to buy gold and silver, and that will just by supply and demand and greed and profit taking, it will move up the price. But I think it's going to be short lived. I also think once the bottom comes in on cryptocurrencies and people see cryptocurrencies move and they move fast, when they see them start to move up, you better bet your bottom dollar that they're going to increase rapidly, much faster than gold and silver. This could be a wealth transformation in America. This could be from people who the have nots, who have a little bit of cryptocurrency, a little bit of Bitcoin, to become the haves. And I hope if this and when this happens, this is not financial advice, that you don't act like the greedy SOBs at the top right now, that you look out for others, you look out for your family, you have a good heart and a good soul. You pray, you worship God number one over everything, okay? Because without Him, we're nothing. He can solve all these problems, but hey, sometimes people need to go through hardship and turmoil to see what they're made of, to realize what their faults are, to see where we've fallen as a people. When we're praising athletes and singers and uh, girls who go up on stage at the Super Bowl show and flash their booties and their crotches during the show that's supposed to be family friendly, that's not really what society should be. When we're supporting transgender people reading story time at the library to children dressed up in G strings and face paint, that's not what society is supposed to be. All right. And this might be a little wake up call. And sometimes people need that, just like a child needs a spanking every now and then or needs to be sent to their room. As a society, we're starting to fall down the wrong path. People don't go to church anymore. People don't worship God anymore like they used to. And I'm thinking this might be a little wake up call. So that's your first thing. Get right with God. 2, plan on getting this coronavirus. So if you get this coronavirus, one of the best things you can do is have vitamin C. Get your vitamin C now. Start taking it now. So if you do get it, vitamin C strengthens your cells that attack the coronavirus. So you want to make sure that if you do get it, that you're already prepared, that your cells are already strong and in that fight mode. It's not like an army that gets caught in the middle of the night sleeping in their underwear with their gun leaning up against a tree somewhere. Your cells are gonna be the ones in their uniform, wide awake, gun loaded, and ready to rock and roll. Okay. Two, have a few supplies ready. Have some extra food for about a week or two, um, just in case there is a run on stores that you'll have, and you don't maybe want to go out in public. But basically, the way they're talking about this coronavirus is you're more than likely you're going to get it. All right. It doesn't seem to affect women as much as men, but women seem to be carriers of it. They seem to be ones that are going to spread it more than get sick from it. Not saying that women won't get sick from it, but it's mostly men. It's mostly going to affect older people. But hey, young people have died from it as well. So nobody is off limits from this. It is a man made disease. It was designed to cause the type of hysteria that it's causing now. And it was designed in a way where it can be dormant in your system for a long time, spread through saliva, air, uh, fecal matter. Um, so in these cities where they do have a lot of the homeless, they're going to have a lot of problems there. Now, I've heard from people that, hey, we have the best hospitals, we have the best medical system in the world, which I believe is true. We're right up there with the top. But the problem is, we're not going to have enough room for people. Hospitals are pretty full how it is. And if we have hundreds of thousands of people coming into the hospital, um, they're just not going to have room for people, especially if this thing takes off like they're saying it is with that exponential growth that I talked about. Now, what happens if on top of that, some of your doctors and nurses start to get sick? Um, you're going to have more patients, less caregivers, and not room to take care of people. And that's what can take its toll. So that's why I'm telling you in advance, start taking your vitamin C. Do the things you can do now to stop this. And I don't mean to make this a panic video by any chance, because if you get it, doesn't mean you're going to die, right? The percentages are still, I don't know, what, 4%, something like that. I think they're saying. So now they're saying, well, that's comparable to the flu. It's not. The flu is only 0.04%. So it is a lot higher than the flu. So it's nothing to mess around with. It's nothing that you want to get, but you want to be prepared. All right. So let's talk about cryptos. What's going on? We've seen the market go. Where were we at? About 284 just a week ago, and we're at 222 today. So we've seen a big drop, but we have seen it level off here. Um, Today so far. It's been right around this 220, mark for most of the day since I looked at it first at about 7:30 this morning. It has not really dropped much. Is this where the hodlers are? Is this the bottom? Is this the basement? Will we see another little sell off? I don't know. I think we'll find out in the next few days, um, maybe week at the most, to see what's going on with the cryptocurrency market. Now, if this is the bottom, if this is where the hodlers are, and we stay at this level and the stock market continues to fall, then once you see it start to move up, that's the time to get back in. That's the time to put your money in, because that is when I think it could really blast off, guys. It could really rocket off. Um, I got to get my son. I got a little bit of time here. Let me read some of these comments here real quick. And I don't want to make, I keep saying I don't want to make long videos, and I end up making hour-long videos. Payoka, Brian Roach, hey, thanks guys. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Not too late for me today, 8 p.m. here. All right. Hey Joe, you're correct. Thanks, Stephen. Brian Roach. Well, I'm so much in the hole. I have no choice but to huddle. Yeah, I hear you. Um, I hear you on that. But hey, hopefully you didn't buy in all at once. Hopefully it was kind of a, you know, gradual buy-in, so you got it at all different prices. Will Conley, I wonder where the tipping point is for inflation to go to an extreme. So what we're going to have is we're going to have negative interest rates. There's nowhere for people to put their money right now, um, where they can make any money. They're just going into things that are safe, like bonds, but bonds are paying no interest. And if inflation continues, you're actually losing money by putting it into bonds. And we're going to see inflation the way that they're printing money. Um, who's going to put their money in the stock market now when it's dropping $1,000 points regularly, over 2,000 today? Too risky for too many people now, and that's why I think we're going to see it drop even more. People are going to just keep pulling their money out. They're not willing to take the risk. There's some people that are holding on, hoping that this is just a little correction. They're not really up on the news, as the supply chain is dwindling, how it's going to affect bottom lines of companies who are not going to have products to sell. Um, it's going to affect airlines. It's going to affect cruise ships. I think I talked about this on the last video. It's going to it's going to affect any kind of venue where there's large gatherings, concerts, operas, you know, plays, even church. People aren't going to go to church and risk getting sick. Restaurants, pretty much anywhere where people are gathering, it's going to affect them. Um, Thumbs up. Yeah, hey guys, please give me a thumbs up. Would appreciate it. Let's see. Somebody said Jason Gibson bought more Bitcoin today. I don't think you can go too far wrong. I think, possibly it might go down a little bit more, but overall, in the long run, I don't think you're going to have a problem. Again, not financial advice. Jimmy Sanders, undervalued crypto. If panic continues, we can see a shift into this new. Yeah, I think we're going to see a shift into cryptos. When it's going to take place, I don't know. But when it happens, like I said, it's such a small market cap. It's not going to take much to move it. If you're waiting for that moment, I would just keep a very close eye on the markets. As you know, the crypto market is open 24/7. It does not sleep. It does not have a plunge protection team, and for that reason, it can drop in the middle of the night, and it can also explode in the middle of the night. So, kind of hard to keep an eye on it unless you're on an exchange and you have some limit order set as to when you want to buy. Amen, Payoka. Yes, amen. That must have been when I was preaching there for a minute. Let's get lots of lemons. Drink lemon water every day. Help strengthen your body. Life is good. Sounds good. A lot of vitamin C in that lemon water. Just one more device for my wife to attack me with. She's gonna get you with the coronavirus, huh? That's funny. Brian Roach, my identity is Christ, knowing that this world is temporary. That's why I don't live in fear, like in times like this. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. Yes. If you have faith in God, I don't know if many people who watch this channel do, but if you do, you really don't need to fear death. There's no reason to fear death. Um, this world is temporary. We're not promised any certain amount of time. Uh, you can go today, you can go tomorrow, next week, or in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years. We don't know, but we do know that eventually it's going to end for us. And when it does, be prepared. Pyoka is giving me some kind of, I don't know, some kind of face there. I can't really tell what it is. Well, that's Litecoin Pro. Oh, he's giving it, Litecoin Pro is giving it to Pyoka. All right, the flu has vaccine, man. The flu has vaccine. I'm not sure what that means. Newsome Associates, like I'm proceeding. Nana, will it be simple to link all the accounts? There are going to be a lot of platforms coming up where you can link your money, your bank accounts, and be able to pay with cryptos, right, with credit cards and things like that, which is going to make it a lot easier for people. France, Germany, India, all give positive news about cryptos, and yet it drops. I just hold cryptos for that. Yeah, well, what's going on here? If this type of news came out in 2017, we'd probably have $1 trillion market back then. However, this virus has really caused a lot of panic selling, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. People are just selling everything, and I said that people are going to sell everything and wait till the dust settles. And when it does, that's when they're going to decide where they're going to put their money. And when they see bonds paying nothing, stocks being risky, some will go into gold and silver just because it's been historically a hedge against times like this. Although you wouldn't know it looking at it over the last week or two. Gold's moved a little bit, silver's gone down if everything. But I think this is still part of the just selling everything process that's going on, and then we're going to see Bitcoin take off as well. Prosy, did you upgrade your Ledger Live 2.0? If you did, that happens if you had 300 nano. Okay, I think you're talking to somebody else there. Brian Roach, it's a dollar cost average, mainly Litecoin. When it was $150-200 range, still hopeful in the long term. Hey, I still have a lot of Litecoin that I bought at that range too. Fortunately, I bought some when it went down to about $40 as well. Tried a dollar cost average in. It was a little gutsy on my part, seeing how the market was doing so bad. But my goal was to have a certain number of Litecoin, and I thought that was my best opportunity to get some up at a cheap price. And luckily for me, I did that to kind of dollar cost average. Sydney Marks is a long-term hodler here. And I do believe, again, not financial advice, I do believe that that is going to pay off. And I made a couple of videos ago where I thought this year might be another boring up and down kind of year for cryptos, even though right now we're taking the brunt of a hit. Along with the stock market. Like I said, I just think this is a sell-off. I think we're going to see a major rebound as time goes on, but I'm not sure exactly how much lower we're going to go. I know for sure there's a bottom at $130 billion market cap. I think it's probably higher than that now because I think more hodlers have gotten in over the last year and a half. So I think that bottom is probably maybe 150, 60, 170. So there may be still a little more room to go down, but once it goes down, I really don't see it going down much more than that. Do I think the government is hyping this up because they're using it as a distraction while they implement the alternative plan? If so, what is the plan? This is definitely some sort of an intentional attack. A lot of people, such as myself, predicted that before the election there would be something to rock the financial system, trying to get Trump out. Whether you're a Trump fan or not, like I said, he's not part of the system as far as I can tell. He's an outsider that they can't control, and they don't want him in there any longer. Unfortunately, they know all of their Democrat politicians that are making the run at the presidency are just terrible candidates. I mean, let's face it. Even if you're a Democrat, you've got to admit that Joe Biden is losing his memory, and Bernie Sanders is a socialist communist. Which, even if the young people are buying the crap that hey, everything is free, anyone over 35, 40 is pretty much knows that communism, socialism doesn't work, and they're not going to vote for Bernie Sanders. And that's still the majority of the population. He doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell becoming president. I don't think Joe Biden does either. His memory is just failing. He can't remember things, and he's already an old man. I mean, in another 4 years, he's not going to get any better. His mind is just going to get even worse, and dementia can set on pretty quickly, also. And I think he's probably got the beginnings of some dementia going on here. The plan, I think they know that we've been in bubbles with auto, housing, stock market, dollar, auto. I think I already said that, but there's multiple bubbles. They've been trying to hold them up for as long as they can, and there becomes a point when a country is so far in debt, like America is, that when the interest on the debt uh, grows faster than it could ever be paid off, and we're about at that point. You can go on that. I don't know the name of the website, but it shows the amount of debt that America is, and it's like the debt calendar or calculator or something like that, and it shows the debt, how it has a rolling ticker of how much we go into debt. Um, I think it even breaks it down how much each individual is in debt. This goes from a baby to a 90-year-old. As long as you're alive, that's how much you owe. And we're at the point now where we can no longer satisfy that debt, no matter what happens, unless the dollar is so um, worthless that, okay, you're 20 trillion in debt. Well, here, $20 trillion can buy you a car. Yeah, that's an exaggeration, but something like that. A, um, B, they just decide to say, hey, because of this coronavirus, it threw the whole financial situation into whack. We're just going to do a reset. We're going to forgive the debt. The Fed might just say that because the Fed, more important than being paid their debt, they want to have remain in power. As long as they're in power, they'll do a financial reset, bring the debt down to a trillion from 23 trillion, whatever it's at now. We're going to give you a break. We're going to do a reset. We're going to take 20 trillion or 10 trillion off that debt and act like they're doing us a favor. All right. Just to get everybody on board with it. Hey, that sounds great. All right. We're out of debt, but they're still in control. And it's just a matter of time before we're back in debt. So the best thing is to just get their asses out, get the Fed out, um, get these bankers out. You know what I mean? Um, So that could be another thing that they're thinking. Third thing could be thinking this coronavirus attacks elderly people. What is going to be the biggest burden on society over the next 15, 20 years? It's going to be the baby boomer population that is at retirement age and retiring every day. This may seem kind of devious, but don't put it past these people because they're evil, wicked people and they don't give two craps about us. Maybe they want to put out this coronavirus to kill off some of the aging people to cut down on the amount of Social Security that we're going to have to pay out to them over the next 15 and 20 or more years. Um, Baby boomers just started retiring maybe 2 years ago, and they're going to go for the next 13 years or so. So it's probably at least 20 years. And we just don't have the money to pay for all the Social Security. You've heard about Social Security going under. This might be their plan to save Social Security. These people are monsters. You know what I mean? They don't just because you're not a monster and you don't think this way. These people are horrible, horrible, evil, wicked people. They don't care about us. They care about staying in power, number one, because when they have the power, they have the money and they have whatever else they want. Money is secondary to them. When you're in charge of everything, you tell people what to do, who gets the money, who gets the power. And I'm going to go on another rant here. Gosh, I got to go. But let me let me not go on this rant. Um, Come on, virus that doesn't show symptoms for 21 days. They can just tell us anything, and the message believe it, and the masses believe it. Yeah, well, most people believe everything the government says, but that might change here quickly. 6 to 8 is one of my favorite. Oh, Isaiah 6:8 is one of my favorite. Like, did you do the ledger live? I did not do the upgrade. I haven't even been on my ledger in, months. I just kind of keep it socked away, but I'll probably go ahead and do that now. I didn't even know that there was an upgrade. Um, Thanks for the news, Perosi, though. Anybody who's got a ledger, um, do you recommend it, Perosi? I don't know anything about it. Payoka 321, communism. We had that in Poland. No thanks. Still remember empty shelves in shops when I was a kid. And no, that was not a Corona panic. Yeah. Well, funny thing about that, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but there's Borat, who has come out and said some really anti-American and anti-nationalistic type of things lately. But still, I enjoyed the movies and the skits that he would do. He's got one where he's Borat. His character is Sacha Baron Cohen. Um, and he's interviewing not a restaurant, a grocery store manager. And he walks down the shelf and he goes, "And what is this?" And the manager says, "Well, that's cheese." He goes, "Yes, and this?" He goes, "That's cheese." Says, and this, it just shows how spoiled Americans are. He goes down this whole aisle full of cheeses in the cold food sections, and he stops and asks every different brand of cheese and type of cheese, and he must say it, 30 to 40 times. And what is this? And each time the manager has a lot of patience and just says, "That's cheese." But other countries, especially socialist and communist countries, don't have selection, variety. They're glad to have cheese, a slice of whatever kind of cheese they can get. And here we've got 40 brands, shredded, grated, uh, types of cheese, different cuts. And that's just cheese. Look at the cereal aisle. There's 50 different types of cereal, and we've got every type of lettuce. We even have it pre-packaged. In other countries, they have to pick their own vegetables and harvest their own food and trade it with their neighbors. We're very spoiled here, and like I said, sometimes a child needs a spanking, and maybe that's what's going to happen to America here. I hope it's not too harsh of a punishment, though. I think we all just need to get right with God, y'all. Let's see. Prosy got back to me on this 2.0 upgrade. It seemed like a lot of people who did the upgrade are having issues syncing their wallet as of March 4th, so I'm most likely going to wait till all the bugs have been addressed. Anyone in the chat that did the Ledger upgrade, if anybody else has done the Ledger 2.0 upgrade, comment. But I'm going to be getting off here shortly in just a minute, so you can leave it in the comments down below. Guys, like I said, I don't get paid to make these videos. They're just my opinions. It's not financial advice. But if you can, please give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share. And I'm trying to make these videos a little bit more regularly. God bless each and every one of you. Um, kiss your spouses and your girlfriends and hug your kids and pet your pets. God bless you. See you next time. And y'all have a great rest of your day. Stay strong, y'all. All right.